The Pilgrimage of the Heart podcast is brought to you by PYO.yoga, an online studio for all your yoga needs, including videos in Spanish and Russian. This podcast is also brought to you by Pilgrimage of the Heart Yoga, located in San Diego and serving over 1,000 yogis a week.
Welcome to Pilgrimage of the Heart interviews. Join us as we explore fascinating people and ideas in the world of yoga. Today, our guest is Emily Taylor, who is 32 years old and is talking to us from Portland, Oregon. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you.
Now tell us about yourself and what you do in the world of yoga.
Well, I teach about 7 classes a week and range from power vinyasa to the foundations of yoga to actually just today, just a little while ago, I taught yoga to a nonprofit emergency animal hospital to the employees there so that they can receive some of the compassion that they give out on a daily basis. So the range of classes that I teach per week is varied. And I've studied, I got my 200-hour certification in 2010, but I'm currently finishing my 500-hour with Shiva Ray's prana flow practice.
Wow, great. So that's amazing that you went to an animal shelter, you said, and they were all receptive to learning yoga.
They actually reached out to me. It's something that they're providing for their employees. They want to, so I go twice a month, and their employees are welcome to come, and it's just something that the company wanted to provide for their employees so that they could receive all of the benefits of yoga throughout their workday.
I've been practicing yoga for about almost 40 years, and it's so exciting to see how much our culture is embracing the yoga practice.
Yes, I love it. There's a story that I have that I love to share because a few years ago I taught yoga to the Navy SEALs in Coronado Base in San Diego. And the department that arranged it was the medical department, not the fitness department. They have a whole range of fitness classes that are provided, and boot camp and strengthening and all of these classes, but that's not who reached out to us. It was the medical department reaching out to incorporate yoga. And
the soldiers were receptive to what you were teaching and sharing with them?
Yeah, they loved it. They really loved it. I mean, it provides... They had the option of going in the mornings. They had the option of which fitness class they wanted to attend, and yoga became one of those. And with yoga, they had that ability to calm the mind and calm the heart. So it was a whole different experience than what a boot camp class offered. And that is beautiful in its own way. It's just amazing that they had that choice that was given to them.
Now, on your website, you say you've been practicing yoga for 8 years.
Yeah, so I started my practice at just a regular gym class, and I remember, and I resonate with this when I have beginners in my class. I remember leaving that class saying, I really like the part where you lay down at the end.
Oh, right, Shavasana.
Not realizing what Shavasana was. That was my first response. But it kind of stole my heart, and so I found myself at a studio, and then my practice became regular. I was going, like 6 times a week, and I just kind of found myself in the orientation for teacher training. It all kind of feels like a daze because none of it was planned. I just went because I was interested, and there in that teacher training orientation, I put down my deposit. I was sold within the hour on furthering my practice. And
how old were you when you started the teacher training?
That was in 2010. So I was 26.
And so for you, what does it mean? Because a lot of the people coming to yoga are, all ranges, but speaking particularly to younger people out there, for you, what does it mean to be a yogi?
Oh gosh, That, I love that question because I don't think it has to mean anything specific. I think that being a yogi is inside all of us. I think that it involves being compassionate and open-minded and loving. And there's certainly the practice. The physical asana is just kind of a guide to bring us to the inside. And so we get on our mats and we do this physical practice, but it really just reveals what's going on inside of us. And so I think everybody has a yogi inside them. It's just whether or not you want to nurture that and let it unfold within you.
And does being a yogi, how does that affect, for example, how you make decisions or look forward in your own life or in your own journey? How does your yoga practice play into that?
Well, I think that having a regular yoga practice affects the way that you react to the world. So you have less reaction, less frequency of reaction when you've cultivated that practice. And so in those moments of frustration and stress that happen in the real world, whether it's traffic or something at work, these things just happen. But when you've been on your mat doing the work, then those moments of frustration become it's, I see the outside of this rather than this is consuming me. This is all that I feel is stress. So it allows you an outlet of seeing the other side and seeing a lighter side, I think.
That's a really nice expression. I think that will motivate people to find that deeper level of the practice. And you talk about being able to find that inside part of yourself. If someone is going, they're going to their yoga practice now and they're doing the exercises, but it's still more of an outer experience, what do you recommend to them to start to get that inward turn or that inward awareness?
I think letting go is the first step. I think that the magic of yoga happens when you let go of the form and move into the experience that you're having. And the alignment is important. The form is important, but more important is the experience. So if you can let go of the ego and stop checking yourself in the mirror so much and just how does your body feel here? How does your breath feel here? And how does your heart feel here? Then you can move into the experience of it and be fully present. And when that happens, I feel like this just might be my experience, but when that shift happens from this is exercise to this is nourishing my soul, it happens quickly and fully, and you can never go back. Once it nourishes your soul, you know what to expect when you hit the mat. You know that that's available to you.
Because it's a very unique feeling once you experience that in life, that dimension.
Yes, it is. I talk about this. I have this old red mat that has these grooves for my hands and my feet in downward facing dog, and it's totally worn, and I still use it sometimes because I've gotten over the loss of my grandparents on that mat. I've gotten over breakups on that mat. I mean, that mat has taken me through some stuff. So it's not just a practice. And even though that mat is worn and it's, I have better new mats, it still has a lot of meaning to me because there was some hard work that was done on that mat. And
it's a magic carpet through all the challenges of life.
It really is.
And what does your own daily practice look like? So aside, how often do you practice, or is there a certain time of day or a certain flow, or what do you do daily?
Well, there is not. So I do get to my mat daily, and preferably it would be in the morning, but I have a golden doodle puppy who seizes the day in such an infectious way that the mat usually doesn't happen until after she's had a walk. I would love to wake up and roll onto my mat, but eventually I do get onto my mat, and every day is different. I think especially being a teacher, I just go into what my body needs because I have some bad habits. There are days when I teach and I only demo on my right side, and that just happens. And so my practice sometimes is just making up for that. Like my left side needs some attention. And there's other times when I'm really wanting that fiery solar practice, and that's what comes out of it. And then there are days when I get on my mat and it's really a restorative practice. So there is always coming to the mat, but what unfolds is really intuitive.
And do you include pranayama and meditation in your own practice?
I do. I definitely do. And this past year is when I really delved deeper into meditation. I was in Costa Rica for 3 weeks for part of my training with Shiva Ray, and we had meditation every morning at 6 a.m., and that kind of was the start for my regular practice. And then here in Portland, there is a meditation company called Pause Meditation, and they do donation-based meditation all over Portland. It's really beautiful. It'll be in the middle of the park or wherever they see fit, and it's just all kinds of people coming together. And it's been really fun to join them and be a part of that as well.
That sounds nice. And did you say that's called Pause, P-A-U-S-E?
Yep, Pause Meditation.
Great.
Yeah. And so that, working with them, because sometimes I'll teach yoga and they do meditation and we do a little bit of a workshop. And so being a part of that has really deepened my practice.
And is there a particular technique they use that has resonated with you, or what connects you with that?
You know, actually, every time it's different. I feel like we're getting the potpourri of meditation practices when we practice with them, and you can kind of see what resonates. And I do know that in their indoor space, it's all quiet and the walls are white, which makes some people insane. But I really enjoyed it as I began moving deeper in with them, because when we were in Costa Rica, it was all glass walls, and there's these adorable monkeys climbing across the trees everywhere. And I literally had monkey brain during my meditation practice.
Right, all the monkeys are like our thoughts.
Yeah, so it was really nice to just be in that really serene, quiet space and move through the practice. But as far as the techniques of the meditation practices, Ryan is the leader, and they're always different. I never know what to expect, but I always come out feeling so kind of in love with life. Like even, the grass blades amaze me, and the sunlight, and everything is fresh.
Wow, those are the signs of a good meditation.
Yeah, it's really nice.
And now, you being of the new generation of yogis, what role do you think technology and social media are playing in the experience and sharing of yoga?
Oh gosh, I go back and forth. I think it's ever evolving, because social media can definitely be inspiring, but it can also be scary and frustrating. So I go back and forth with it. With my personal Instagram account, I try to provide just inspiration that's authentic, that comes from something that inspired me. But it is, as a yoga teacher, it sometimes feels like your resume. Your social media account is your resume, and so you feel like you have to post something. And I've really tried to fight that and only post when it's totally authentic and inspiring to me. And so I don't know how I feel about yoga challenges and in the social media world. Some of them seem really genuine, and they get people involved, and they get people to do yoga that maybe never would have before. But then also there's times when I think that it's causing people to move into things that they're not ready for yet. Like headstand is not appropriate for someone that's day 3 of their yoga practice. So I have some hesitation in it, but I also thoroughly enjoy connecting to the community in that way.
And you said that the social media can be both inspiring and scary. How is it? How do you use the social media for inspiration for your practice? Is it people you follow, or is it how do you get inspiration from it?
Yeah, it's definitely people that I follow. And in the last few years, I've started unfollowing accounts that are that feel cold, that there's not a human behind them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, so there's a big corporate machine.
Yeah, because we're all humans. and yoga isn't about doing a beautiful handstand. That's definitely part of it, and it's an achievement, and it's beautiful. But I think that the most important yoga happens, sometimes in child's pose, when you're really turning in. I have a mentor of mine who said that she spent many days walking out to her mat and just crying because she was going through something difficult and feeling like, oh gosh, I'm not getting my yoga practice in. And then her teacher said, this is the best practice you can have. This is profoundly magical. This experience that you're having is whole, and it's perfect just as it is. And I think that what happens with social media is that what gets focused on is the physical asanas, and they are definitely our way to the mat, but they're not, just doing a handstand with no intention behind it isn't yoga. It's just a physical practice. There's more to it.
Right. And do you think there's a way the social media could bring out more of that inner dimension, or is it just impossible because it's all just pictures and sounds? Or
yeah, that's hard because it's just a quick snapshot or a video, which is very short. But I do think that it can. There's some really authentic accounts out there that provide truth and honesty behind the postures. I just saw one the other day, actually, that a woman was posting a down dog, just a simple down dog, and said, what's wrong with this picture? I'm a yoga teacher, and this is my down dog. What's wrong with this picture? And the pictures do have a way, you get into a posture and you think that you've got it all right, and then you look at it in the picture and you think, oh gosh, that's not right at all. And she was just in down dog. It wasn't anything difficult. And she allowed her community of followers to tell her how she should fix her down dog. And I thought that was a really beautiful way to approach that. And
humble.
Yeah, really humble.
Now, since we're talking about Instagram, why don't you tell us what your Instagram and your website addresses are?
My Instagram is Emily Taylor Yoga, and my website is emilytayloryoga.com. And I have a Facebook that's Emily Taylor Yoga, but I think I've logged on twice. I'm not very good at it.
That's Facebook's old school now.
People keep telling me that, and it's not even that for me. I think I can only handle one social media account.
Right.
I don't know how people do all of them, so I've committed to Instagram.
And Emily, you're so inspired by yoga. What advice would you give a young person who wants to step into the world of yoga, but for whatever reason is hesitant or scared?
Oh, just do it. My advice is to do it. There really is, if you've ever been in a yoga class, there's a lot of talk about non-judgment, and that is totally authentic. Even in a popular class in the gym where it's not maybe necessarily the normal yogic scene, everyone is so focused on themselves that they're not looking at anyone else. So if you're worried about the way that you look to start yoga, don't let that be a barrier, because it's not important in any way. And that the benefits, I see all the time that people come for the physical benefits. They have some pain from other physical sports that they do, whether it's cycling or hiking or something, and they're trying to relieve that, or they just want to be fit. But their practice becomes more than that. Every time it becomes more than that. And I have one student that told me that she goes, once she started practicing yoga, she goes to the gym to work out, but she goes to yoga for her heart and her soul. So it's not a physical practice anymore. And I see that time and time and again. So if you have any hesitancy of starting, just begin. To begin, we must begin, right? Take that first leap.
Right. The first step is the beginning of the longest journey.
It is. It's the hardest part, but once you make that first step, then it's only going to move forward from there. And it's such a beautiful journey. I always tell people that if I never taught a class ever after my teacher training, I would still feel so happy having done it, because it made my practice so much more rich and it wasn't about teaching. I found joy in teaching, so I did, but it wasn't about teaching. It was just about deepening my practice, and that's always a beautiful experience.
Well, those are very inspiring words, and I think it's really nice encouragement for you about not to focus on the outer body or how we look, but rather go to yoga as an inner opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's where the good stuff is.
The good stuff. Nice, Emily. Well, Emily, it's been really nice talking to you. I think you have some wonderful insights on yoga, and I think it'll be a real inspiration to people out there.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, and when you get back to San Diego, we'd love to treat you to class at our yoga studio. And we also have some friends and I opened a vegetarian restaurant up here on Adams Avenue many years ago. And
great.
Yeah, treat you to a meal there when you get back to San Diego.
I would love that.
All right. So again, can you give us your Instagram and your website one more time?
Yes, it's Emily Taylor Yoga for Instagram, and it's emilytayloryoga.com for my website.
And this is Sujantra McKeever. Just a reminder to all our listeners that our show is available on pyo.yoga, also on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. And if you've enjoyed our podcast today, we encourage you to share it with your friends and family on all the different social media platforms. So thanks again to our guest, Emily. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll look forward to talking to you again.
Thanks for joining us. This has been a production of Pilgrimage of the Heart Yoga. Join us at our studios here in San Diego or visit us online at pyo.yoga. Namaste.